preview code provided by Capcom. Thanks.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster is only about a month away from hitting digital storefronts, but by the powers of Frank That Be, I was lucky enough to get the inside scoop on our revamped adventure in Willamette in order to provide some early impressions.
Ooh, that's today.
That's today.
Maybe look at the fucking calendar. Fuck.
They even gave me some of the bonus costumes you can expect through pre-ordering or grabbing the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster Digital Deluxe Edition.
Yeah, they gave me 8 costumes to use. Oh my god, what the fuck?
Everything shown here is my own captured footage of playing the first few hours. Figured I'd share my thoughts as a diehard Dead Rising fan. Now, a lot of people watching probably already know how much I love the original game. I've loved it since I was a teenager, and I don't care how much nostalgia clouds my mind, I still love it now. Doing yearly playthroughs, especially with the wonderful remaster that hit PC back in 2016. With that said, this Deluxe Remaster's existence was quite a surprise to me, especially once more information came out regarding it. Capcom already set this expected output when it comes to their remakes, which usually meant an overhaul of the game's mechanics and options like the remakes of Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4. Although 4's gameplay at its core was still similar to the original game, but a lot of it still saw significant change, most especially its world design and mechanics. Instead of being like those remakes, Capcom did their best maintaining as much of the original style and feeling as they could, only completely changing the graphics as well as adding new options in gameplay, including new control styles and ever so slight additions. In the end, that's most likely why they refrained from calling it a remake, despite the amount of effort that was put into this game. It's just very different from how Capcom's respective teams approached the recent remakes of Resident Evil 2 through 4. I won't talk too much about the story itself, I'll save that for future videos as I only played up to the end of Case 2, so naturally, no major spoilers here if you're new to Dead Rising. I'm making this video to provide my first impressions on what is an early build of the Deluxe Remaster. All I'll say is the majority of the lines in the cutscenes are identical.
What are you planning?
Would you calm down? I don't even know what you're talking about.
What are you planning?
Would you calm down? I don't even know what you're talking about.
There's been a few changes, some which people can probably guess. I'll leave that for everyone to find out upon the full release.
Now this is my most emotionally moving shot.
The cutscene direction is great. As far as I can tell, they replicated every angle and every cut from the original game's cutscenes, which those were already directed in a way to show off the impressive character models of a 2006 Xbox 360 game. So it makes sense that this would remain unchanged, as they're clearly proud of the level of detail they put into the characters in this 2024 title.
You came by helicopter, didn't you?
Look at him.
What did you see from the sky?
They sexified him.
Yeah, they made him like less desperado.
They made him sexier.
I mean,
I'm sorry, they
Desperado
did.
Speaking further on the visuals, like a lot of Capcom's recent output, including the recent remakes of the Resident Evil games, it utilizes their RE engine. With that said, it has a litany of graphical settings and tweaks you can apply. I chose to keep things more at mid-level. As beefy as my computer is, I didn't want to compromise performance for some epic 4K resolution whilst also capturing footage. But even then, damn does a lot of this look good. There's so much put into the most minuscule details. Many of the attacks and movements have additional visual effects, and the textures and everything are sporting a much higher resolution, making even the smallest items easy to read and observe. The extreme level of detail they provided for the characters, the zombies, the items, everything makes it even more impressive considering how large the venues are, while also housing hundreds upon hundreds of zombie models.
Middle, if you go back.
Hold on. I go like right here. Yeah. Holy shit. Oh my god, that was a lot.
I'm surprised the entire mall isn't loaded in, similar to Dead Rising 3's City, but that's fine. Loading times aren't too bad either, especially for a brand new game in 2024. The cutscenes really show off the finer details. The original game already sports detailed character models, so it's interesting seeing how crazy good the folks look now, especially in motion. You can even catch the tiniest little imperfections on their faces and skin, emphasizing the idea that they're meant to be depicted as actual people, not just video game characters. As for the gameplay, it's definitely seen a lot of improvements. While Frank moves pretty similarly, it isn't one-to-one, but that's fine. The developers clearly tried to find a balance between making it feel like the original game, but also better in certain more subtle ways. Moving forward and fighting zombies feels great still. They changed up some moves, but I think the ones I've experienced so far have been for the better. Executing moves feels faster too, and there's a lot of recovery frames you can cancel out of this time around. The dodge roll is probably the more noticeable one. Here's a few other changes I'd like to highlight. For one, the only interactable locker in the security room contains all outfits you've downloaded, earned, or collected throughout your campaign. And yes, you heard right that I said earned. A really cool thing they added is if you do certain tasks or even gain particular achievements, new wardrobe pieces get added to the locker. And while I get caught up in Chivo hunts for the sake of it, I think this is a practice more games need to adopt. Don't just give the player an achievement, give them a piece of content that makes honing those skills feel even more worthwhile. They also included a blender in the security room, which is insane to me. Especially early on when you've got jugs of coffee creamer right there at your disposal. Quick step mix for days. Oh, it's called Fleetfoot now? Okay. And as much as I miss that big ol' arrow at the top, the compass is the more expected standard when it comes to keeping an eye on objectives, and this is a way for you to see multiple objectives at the same time. You still receive side objectives and such throughout the transceiver, but these messages can now be skipped over pretty easily, which is great.
I found a woman in the jewelry shop in Alfred. She's moving around an awful lot.
To my surprise, the more hidden survivors are still such, and it's still left on you to seek them out. And if these quality of life changes aren't enough, there's the modernized control settings they call standard. This maps just about all the buttons to a more traditional sense, such as left trigger to ready a weapon and right trigger to fire. Entire moves are mapped differently too, such as the dodge roll being mapped to forward and B. Things like that. I gotta be frank though, I'm not a fan of these controls. But you have to understand something. I've been playing Dead Rising for nearly 2 decades now. I know every single quirk of the original game's controls and movesets. So I think those that have never played the original might appreciate these new standard controls, or perhaps those that haven't played it in over a decade. Meanwhile, I've been suffering from brain farts trying to open the doors. The Y button? Gross! There were even times where I tried to use my camera and would accidentally blast innocent survivors in the face. So, for my old head brain, the classic control scheme is aces. I'm very happy to see Capcom gave us the option to choose whichever preference. Good stuff.
Oh fuck. What time is it?
One of the more surprising additions would be the involvement of the survivors. Their AI has definitely seen some improvements, but that wasn't the only change. They actually talk a decent amount, and I don't just mean how the text dialogue they had in the original are now fully voiced, I mean they just randomly shout stuff out from time to time, adding a bit more personality.
The knife shop in the North Plaza should have plenty of hunting knives and katanas.
The psychopath bosses do this as well. That was already odd to me. What's even more odd is that they try to give actual hints and tips. One even marked a hidden pee-pee sticker, pee-pee, while on my back, from the other side of the wall.
There's something cool over here,
Follow
Frank.
me!
Why don't you take a quick snapshot?
One more thing to highlight regarding gameplay would be the photography. It was already fun snapping photos in the original, but it's even better in this now that they've added some upgrades to the camera. You can find add-ons such as flash function and focus. This is really fun to mess around with, and the flash effect looks so good. Now that's all the major aspects of this Deluxe Remaster, and there's a lot I'm already appreciating from this early preview. Like I said, I've only finished Case 2, which is still pretty early into the main story. But now that I've gotten a taste of things myself, I have a lot more to say on what has changed for this remaster. First of all, they made the game a lot easier, especially in the case of leveling up. I got to level 10 before I even ran into Carlito at the food court. All I did was take a few photos, which I noticed definitely gives you a lot more PP than before. PP. Anyway, the game has been just a little too easy so far, even with the enemy AI having noticeable improvements. Also, while I'll admit some of the venues have received gorgeous makeovers, other areas I'm not wild about. The lighting is really low in a few areas, especially compared to the original game. It's odd seeing them convey so much with these models, but squinting as it's going on kind of hinders the experience. What makes matters a little more confusing is what they choose to change in regards to lighting. I've got a good example too. So, just like in the original game, the main lights of the mall shut off, as do the individual stores. I happen to enter the story and start the scenario at the dead of night, so all of the lights are out. Why would Cletus do this? Why would he turn the lights off? What good does that do him? I replayed the game and went there at a different time, so it was lit fine then. Also, maybe I need to mess with the brightness settings more or something, but I can't help but notice the game looks kind of washed out. However, that isn't the case everywhere. I think it's more of the color coding and artistry got kind of sporadic in places. Still, it's weird how often I feel this way about RE engine-based games, which I think have a hard time with striking colors. Except Street Fighter 6. Whatever they did, they nailed it. I need to mess with the graphics settings more. The second color coding option might make it look a little better. Hard to tell. Another aspect I'm sure people are curious about is the voice acting, and it's a real mixed bag in my opinion. As we saw in the early trailers, it seems as though everybody got replaced, so they certainly have big shoes to fill in my opinion. Frank sounds okay. As timeless as I find TJ Rotolo's performance to be, I got used to this new approach.
Well, we're up to our necks in zombies. Yeah, I think I appreciate the situation just fine.
Some of the sounds he makes are weird though. Adam the Clown is a highlight, surprisingly. I previously said there's no way they'll live up to John Kassir, but damn it if they got close.
I won't let you stop the ride, Gramps. If the ride stops, then the zombies come back. And that won't be any fun at all.
No idea who the new voice actors are since the game isn't out yet, but did they just get Kassir back? Because holy crap, the performance is almost identical. I won't go too deep into comparisons, but I'll just say the rest I've heard range from fine to not so fine. And while I'm sure everyone's a talented voice actor, it must have been hard to direct them when they had to follow a script from 18 years ago and with little to no deviation.
This is my store!
This is my store!
You came to vandalize my store, huh? Not on my watch!
You came to vandalize my store, huh? Not on my watch!
I feel as though part of their lacking performance could be from the fact that the script is mostly the same so far. Thus, as someone that's been hearing the same exact lines for almost 2 decades at this point, my brain can't help but compare them.
What in the hell are you people doing? Run! Quick, move! Get over here! Everyone, move this way! Quick, to the stairs! What in the hell are you people doing? Run! Quick, move! Get over here! Everyone, move this way! Quick, to the stairs!
I think the script should have been rewritten more thoroughly. It would have given the new cast more chances to shine as their own performances, rather than attempting to replicate the same exact lines from that 2006 game.
Here it is.
Let me help.
Here it comes.
No,
Here
I can't let a civilian do that. You know how to use this?
Kinda. I've covered wars, you know.
You know, it would have been great if the old crew got back together, but that's a tall order. Many of the original actors have not been credited in anything for years now, and it was such a large and diverse number of voice acting talent to begin with. And even if by some miracle they did get everyone back, it's been like 20 years since they did those performances. Chances are a lot of them wouldn't sound the same anyway. I think the main drive behind recasting everyone is the fact that they wanted to add a lot more lines. The survivors, the psychopaths, the side characters, they all have more speaking lines this time around, as the developers wanted to flesh out the world of Willamette even more than before.
Tourists? They look Japanese.
So this decision makes more sense to me now that I've gotten to play the game myself, so I'd like to pass this knowledge onto you. So here you go. I'm having a bit of an issue with the sound design as well. Something about the environment doesn't feel as lively. I know that sounds silly considering the main fodder being shambling zombies, but the original game really sold its chaotic energy in a lot of the same situations. I was taken aback when I got to the first outbreak and realized how oddly quiet it was. This could be due to an early build. They likely don't have everything set up quite yet, so here's hoping they'll update this before the launch, perhaps. In the end, there's a lot to this remaster. The devs involved continue to blow me away with their attention to detail regarding the gameplay and the physics. There's a lot of knacks and mechanics that I know are going to bug people used to modernize action gaming of the 2020s, but I couldn't be happier to witness they're still here and thriving. As much as a lot of things stayed the same, it's nice seeing many of these characters shine again after such a long time. I'm looking forward to how everyone else takes in this revamped trip to Willamette and what this could mean for the future of Dead Rising. You can expect a full review later this year where I'll definitely get into the nitty and gritty of the experience in its entirety. Thanks for watching, and another big thanks to Capcom for providing me with a preview code for Dead Rising Dominican Republic, Dead Rising Delusions Replay, Dead Rising Deluxe Remastered. See you at the chopping spree this September 19th. I'd also like to give a shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me. And we have a new cool ghoul in the house that goes by Walkman. I knew a Walkman. And you know what he did? You know what he did? After a hot night with a hot honey, he made her a mini disc. Now that's romance.
What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent
Protection, a priest to confess in a Sunday dress. I need a sweat to drink and fight, do enough drugs till I'm not thinking right.